The following content has been generated with artificial intelligence under minimal human supervision. The data presented may contain errors or inaccuracies. The opinions expressed in this content do not necessarily reflect the vision, position, or values of DigiAll. We recommend verifying critical information with additional sources before making decisions based on this content.
Welcome to DigiAll Tech News. Today is Sunday, June 14th, 2026. I'm Kylie Brooks, and this is where technology becomes clear and engaging. The White House forced Anthropic to pull its new Fable model after a 24-hour national security push ended in export controls. Meta has reportedly completed an operational split from Manus as it moves to unwind a $2 billion AI acquisition under pressure from Beijing. Apple has introduced Siri A.I, a major assistant revamp that turns Siri toward app control, screen awareness, and personal context. OpenAI has added 3 Academy courses designed to move workers from basic AI literacy to repeatable agent workflows. A.M.D. has landed its largest AI chip deal yet, with Meta agreeing to a multi-year rollout of Instinct GPUs, totaling 6 gigawatts of capacity. Let's start with a story that shows how fast AI policy is now moving. The Trump administration imposed sweeping export controls on Anthropic after officials tried, in a frantic 24-hour window, to get the company to voluntarily withdraw Fable, also referred to as Fable 5. The model had only been public for a few days, but officials viewed it as a security risk, and the controls forced Anthropic to pull access for all customers, so it could comply. The pressure campaign included tense calls between CEO Dario A.M.D. and senior officials including Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and White House Cyber Director Sean Cairncross. And by Friday morning, it had escalated to a White House meeting involving Chief of Staff Susie Wiles and other top officials. Amazon CEO Jassy had also raised concerns earlier in the week that the model could let users bypass guardrails. The bigger issue is not just one model launch, it is whether export controls become the emergency brake for frontier AI when voluntary cooperation fails. That may serve national security goals, but it also creates a real trust problem for customers and a competitiveness problem for US labs if access can vanish days after release. Now to Meta, where the geopolitics around AI are getting very concrete. Meta has begun dismantling its $2 billion acquisition of Manus, the Chinese-founded agentic AI startup, by completing an operational separation and stopping all data sharing between the two companies. This follows a divestiture order from China's National Development and Reform Commission, or NDRC, issued roughly 2 months earlier on national security grounds. Beijing had prohibited the foreign investment on April 27, 2026, after a months-long probe, requiring the parties to unwind the transaction entirely. Manus was founded by Chinese engineers, relocated to Singapore before Meta acquired it in late 2025, and had already drawn scrutiny over technology export controls and prior ties to China. Here's what matters. For big tech companies, AI talent and AI intellectual property are no longer just acquisition targets. They can become foreign investment flashpoints. Meta is trying to satisfy Beijing while protecting its broader AI ambitions, and Manus may have to consider a different path, with co-founders reportedly discussing raising around $1 billion to buy the company back. The practical question is whether an operational split is enough, or whether regulators will demand ownership changes too. Apple's Siri update is a different kind of AI test, less about a single chatbot demo and more about whether an assistant can become useful across the phone you already use every day. On Monday, Apple announced Siri A.I, a major revamp of its roughly 15-year-old digital assistant, with a beta planned for later this year. The new Siri is being positioned to compete more directly with OpenAI's ChatGPT and Google's Gemini, and Apple says it will be able to operate apps, analyze what's on an iPhone screen to answer questions, and use personal context in its responses. That is a big shift from the old question and answer assistant model towards something closer to a system-wide software agent. In practical terms, Apple's advantage is obvious. Siri already sits inside the iPhone experience, but that also raises the bar. If an assistant can act inside apps and reason over personal context, users will expect it to be reliable, relevant, and careful, not just conversational. After earlier delays and plenty of pressure from Wall Street, the beta is really the starting line. The real challenge is whether Apple can make these features feel dependable enough to become part of daily phone habits. OpenAI's latest Academy update is quieter than a model launch, but it points to a very real workplace problem. A lot of teams still need to learn how to turn AI from a clever prompt into a repeatable process. On June 12, 2026, OpenAI announced 3 new courses: AI Foundations, Applied AI Foundations, and Agents and Workflows. The first course covers the basics of using AI effectively at work, including prompting, giving context, reviewing outputs, and using the tools responsibly. The second course moves from good prompts to structured workflows with defined inputs, models, tools, checkpoints, human review, and the trade-off between quality, speed, and cost. The third focuses on agent-assisted work, setting context, defining outputs and boundaries, reviewing results, iterating, and reusing patterns that work. That matters because the next phase of workplace AI is not just asking better questions. It is designing processes where humans know what to delegate, what to verify, and when to step in. My read is that this is AI adoption becoming operational. Less magic, more management. And finally, a major infrastructure signal from the chip market. A.M.D. has agreed to its largest AI chip deal to date with Meta Platforms, centered on a multi-year rollout of Instinct GPUs, totaling 6 gigawatts of capacity. We know the scale of the capacity commitment, but not the specific financial terms, delivery milestones, exact technical specifications, or which Instinct generation will be used. Even with those open details, the strategic message is clear. A.M.D. is pushing deeper into data center growth at a moment when demand for AI infrastructure is still reshaping the market. And Meta is showing that it wants more than one major supplier for the accelerators behind training and inference clusters. For A.M.D., a deal like this can validate the MI300 and MI350 class roadmap at hyperscaler scale. For Meta, supplier diversity can reduce dependence on a single vendor in a very constrained AI hardware race. The question I would keep watching is whether this becomes a durable market share shift, or whether Meta is mainly building a powerful multi-supplier hedge. Today's through line is control. Governments are trying to control frontier models and cross-border AI deals. Apple is trying to control the user experience inside the iPhone. OpenAI is teaching workers how to control agent workflows. And Meta's A.M.D. deal is about controlling supply in the infrastructure race. The technology is moving fast, but the real story is who gets to set the limits. Thank you for staying informed with DigiAll Tech News. We'll be back with more updates as they develop.